Welcome to the Medical School Admissions Secrets webinar presented by Code Blue Essays. Code Blue Essays is the premier medical school personal statement editing service. We make it our business to know what medical schools are looking for, and we want to share that information with you. If you have any questions during this webinar, please contact us at customerservice@codeblueessays.com. Medical school admissions are extremely competitive. If you do not have a strategy, your chances of success are very low. Most people think that the recipe for getting admitted to medical school is the combination of high grades and an excellent Mcat score. Although grades and test scores are certainly important, they are not the only thing that schools look at when determining their incoming class. Today we will discuss some lesser-known tips and methods for improving your chances at getting into medical school. I will share with you some medical school admission secrets that, if applied, will drastically improve your chances of getting into medical school. But first, let's look at the numbers. Getting into medical school is incredibly difficult. According to data compiled by the Association of American Medical Colleges, in 2016, 21,000 students enrolled in an accredited medical school in the United States. However, 830,000 people applied for those spots. So under 3% of people who applied to medical school got in. In other words, 97% of people who apply to medical school will not get in. Let's look further at the characteristics of the people who were successful in getting into medical school. The mean Mcat score of medical school applicants last year was 501.8, with a standard deviation of 2.8. However, the mean Mcat score for those who enrolled in medical school was 508.7, with a standard deviation of 2.3. The mean grade point average for people who applied to medical school was 3.55, with a standard deviation of 0.34. Those who enrolled in medical school had a mean grade point average of 3.7, with a standard deviation of 0.25. So we've established that medical school is difficult to get into. However, this should not discourage you. You should make it your goal to be among the successful 3% of applicants. First, it may be encouraging to realize that there are many careers that are much more difficult to enter than medicine. You have a much higher chance of getting into medical school than you do of becoming a professional athlete or an astronaut. Becoming a doctor is not an unreasonable goal. Let's look at the statistics a little bit more. As I mentioned previously, the mean grade point average of medical school applicants last year was 3.55, and the mean GPA of enrollees was 3.77. This is not much of a difference. In fact, it is within one standard deviation. Therefore, medical schools must rely on something other than grades to determine who to admit. Although there was more of a difference in Mcat scores of applicants versus matriculants, the difference was not extremely large. So this means that by the numbers alone, most people applying to medical school are nearly equal. It is the other things in a candidate's application that make the difference. Today, I will tell you about some of those other factors that schools use when deciding on who to admit. But before we begin discussing some powerful strategies to improve your chances of admission to medical school, I want to briefly go through the application process and give a few basic tips. Unfortunately, applying to medical school can be confusing, and many students feel lost during the process. Having an idea of what the application process is like can be very helpful. The vast majority of medical schools in the United States participate in the AAMC's centralized online application service called the American College Medical Application Service, or AMCAS. The purpose of AMCAS is to collect your application information, verify it, and deliver it to the schools you are applying to. AMCAS does not make any admission choices and does not influence schools' decisions one way or another. The AMCAS program typically opens the first week of May for those applying to enter medical school the following fall. During this time, you will be able to begin inputting your information into the AMCAS system. However, you will not be able to submit your application until the beginning of June. However, my advice to you is to begin working on your application early. You should begin working on requesting your letters of recommendation in February. You should also begin thinking about your personal statement in February and begin writing it no later than March. During the month of April, you should start writing and revising your CV. If you follow this timeline, you will have plenty of time to prepare your application and present yourself in the best way possible. In order to use the Mcat application service, you will be required to pay a fee which includes one school. More schools can be added for an additional charge. Last year, the basic fee was $160, and additional schools were $38 each. Therefore, although it may be tempting to apply to every single medical school, this is not a cost-effective strategy. Instead, research medical schools carefully and only apply to schools that you would like to attend and that you have a reasonable chance of being admitted to. It is okay to add a few so-called reach schools to your list. That is, schools where you may be somewhat underqualified, but where you would love to attend. Additionally, it is also wise to add a few safety schools, where you are fairly confident that you will be granted an interview. The AAMC does offer a fee assistance program to reduce the cost for eligible applicants. Application information for the fee assistance program is available on the AAMC website. Once the Mcat application is submitted, individual schools may contact an applicant with a secondary application. Most schools use secondary applications, but they vary widely on who they send secondary applications to. Some send them to everybody, whereas others perform a screening process and only send them to students that they are interested in. Most secondary applications contain questions for essay prompts for applicants to respond to. Although it can get tedious filling out secondary applications, especially if you have applied to a lot of schools, it is extremely important that you put as much care and effort into your secondary application essays as you do your personal statement. The secondary application essays allow a school to learn a lot about you, and you want to make the most of this opportunity. Typically, the final step of the application process is the interview. If you have been invited for an interview, your chances of admission rise to approximately 50%. The interview can secure your spot in the following year's medical school class if you perform well. We will discuss interview skills and techniques in a future webinar. Now that you know about the application process, let's focus on how to improve your chances of getting into medical school. The first medical school admission secret is that schools want their students to be happy. For this reason, they are looking to admit students who will fit in well at their school. A medical school's reputation hinges on how well their students perform. Happy medical students are more likely to perform well. If a large percentage of students do not complete their program, it does not reflect well on that school. Medical schools do not want students who will fail out or quit. It is for this reason that medical school applicants who show that they will be a good fit with the school's curriculum and culture have a much higher chance of being offered admission. Knowing this information, you should make it your goal to show your top schools that you will fit in well there. You may wonder how to accomplish this. The first step is to do some research on the schools to which you are applying. A lot of information can be obtained by carefully reading a school's website. Most schools will have their mission statement or core values clearly stated. Many schools post an admissions requirements section, which outlines the type of student that they seek. In addition, some medical schools will provide a section on their site with information on desired interpersonal skills in addition to academic requirements. For example, empathy, professionalism, and leadership skills are commonly sought after skills. It is wise to carefully review your target school's website to learn as much as possible about the type of student that is typically accepted there. Some medical school sites have a section for essays or blog entries by current students. You should be certain to read anything written by a current student. A few years ago, they were in your position and succeeded. By reading their experiences, you could see what worked for those students and attempt to emulate them. The second medical school secret is to highlight pre-professional skills. Chances are this bit of advice is not very clear to you right now, but we will discuss this further. First, let's take a look at some of the background information. Over the past several years, medical schools have discovered that their admissions process has been less than ideal. They have been finding consistently that there is a subset of applicants with strong grades and test scores who fail to perform well as medical students or physicians. This led to the realization that the smartest people are not necessarily the best doctors. For this reason, medical schools are beginning to look at alternative methods for selecting people for admission. Applicants need more than strong academics to succeed in medical school. The medical school curriculum includes training in academics, interpersonal skills, and professionalism. Medical school directors have identified that students who are dismissed from medical school more often have difficulties with professionalism than academics. Furthermore, they have found that it is easier to remediate students with academic difficulties than those with professionalism problems. Studies have shown that personal characteristics are gaining importance in the medical school admissions process. In 2015, 98% of admissions officers stated that personal competencies were very important to their selection decisions. Typically, admissions officers are only able to evaluate an applicant's personal competencies during the interview. This is problematic because many candidates are eliminated during earlier rounds of the screening process and do not have the opportunity to go for an interview. Therefore, many schools are looking for ways to assess personal competencies sooner in the application process. The AAMC is currently in the process of developing something called Situational Judgment testing, which will provide schools with an evaluation of an applicant's interpersonal skills and professionalism. In the near future, situational judgment tests will be administered to medical school applicants early in the admissions process. Although some schools are in the process of trying out these situational judgment tests, they are not currently being used in the selection process. However, being aware of this changing trend can be useful for you now. Before we discuss how to use personal competencies to your advantage now, let's look a bit more at how the AAMC's situational judgment testing works. The AAMC has identified 8 skill sets that they have called pre-professionalism. These skills are service orientation, social skills, cultural competence, teamwork, ethical responsibility, reliability and dependability, resilience and adaptability, and capacity for improvement. Medical school admissions committees are now especially invested in admitting people who possess these pre-professional skills. Research has demonstrated that medical students with strong pre-professional skills perform better in introduction to clinical medicine courses, clinical clerkships, and score better on the OSCE exam. Therefore, if you are able to demonstrate that you possess the desired pre-professional skills, you will greatly improve your chances of admission. In order to take advantage of the admission secret discussed today, you will need to meticulously complete your application. You must be sure to list all of your experiences and accomplishments. In addition, you will need to carefully pick who will write your letters of recommendation. However, the most important but often neglected portion of your application is the personal statement. This essay gives you a vital opportunity to tell medical schools about yourself. The personal statement is the only opportunity you have during the first round of the admissions process to show schools that you are a good fit for their program and that you possess the desired pre-professional skills that they seek. If executed correctly, your personal statement may be the deciding factor that earns you an invitation to interview. It is imperative that you write a strong personal statement. Your personal statement should accomplish 3 things. First, it should tell the reader who you are. With the exception of letters of recommendation, schools receive very little information about who their applicants actually are. Schools want to admit people, not test scores, so you should strive to let the admissions committee learn about who you are as a person in your essay. Second, your personal statement should demonstrate that you are a great fit for medical school. You will likely have a top choice of medical schools that you hope to attend. Your personal statement needs to show that you share the values and will fit in well to that school's program. If you demonstrate that you are likely to be successful in their program, the school will view your application more favorably. Finally, you should demonstrate your pre-professionalism in your personal statement. Choose some of the pre-professional skills and discuss how you have put them to use in your previous experiences. Because your personal statement is so important, You should plan to have it reviewed by a knowledgeable third party before you submit it. Code Blue Essays provides top quality medical school personal statement editing services at affordable prices. Your essay will be reviewed by a licensed and board certified physician who will ensure that your personal statement is ready to help you get admitted to medical school. You can submit an essay for editing on the Code Blue Essays website, www.codeblueessays.com. Because this webinar is about letting you know about secrets, I want to tell you about another medical school admission secret. In addition to personal statement editing, Code Blue Essays is now offering medical school admissions consulting to a limited number of people. This service is not available on our website and is only available to select clients. Our medical school consulting clients receive individualized guidance and assistance from the beginning to the end of the admissions process. You will be paired with a physician mentor who will be available to guide you on your journey to medical school. In addition, you will receive an array of valuable services. These services are Letter of Recommendation Requisition Assistance, AMCAS Application Review and Enhancement, School Selection Recommendations, Personal Statement Brainstorming and Planning Assistance, 2 rounds of personal statement editing, Secondary Application Assistance, and interview preparation. When you choose to work with Code Blue Essays, you will get the very best in service and quality. Although there are other medical school consultants available, nobody offers the value, quality, and comprehensive services that we do at Code Blue Essays. Our exclusive individualized consulting plan typically costs $8,500. However, we are offering attendees of this webinar a special reduced price for a limited time. Because we want you to get accepted to your preferred medical school, we have reduced the price for you by 50%. For a limited time, we offer you this premium package for only $4,250. This is really a great deal for a valuable service. If you want to give yourself the best chance of getting admitted to medical school, email us at customerservice@codeblueessays.com and tell us that you would like to sign up for individualized consulting. Mention the discount code SECRET17 to receive the special pricing. Because our clients receive so much attention, we limit the number of people we work with each year. Therefore, reserve your spot now. We are waiting to hear from you. Thank you for joining us for this presentation, and good luck with your medical school application.